So, thanks very much for asking me, Pete, Sarah, Laura. So as we've said already, we're talking about vision, mission, values, and also importantly about your business, specifically about your business. And what the aim of this is to get you thinking differently. I know you sort of, this is ahead of what Pete's planning for, or got set up for next week, but really want to help you think differently and be different about it. So preparing for this and thinking about it in a different way. So up front, this isn't a 101 on vision, mission, and values. There is a lot of resources out there. Nothing better than the session you're going to experience next week, I know, but there's so much out there in terms of how to really dig deep into this. This is going to be a quick taster and really getting you prepared for it. So yeah, session with Pete next week. I'll tell you a little bit about OSEP, because that's where I focus my efforts these days. We'll give a simple overview. We are obviously going to talk about it. So we'll talk about the framework, what those phrases really mean. We'll talk about this business of looking at it in a different way. And really, I want to get into, and I don't lose an opportunity to do it. Pete described me earlier, but yeah, certainly I'm a great believer, having been on my journey, I'm a great believer that all of us in business can and should have much more impact through the business than just making widgets or making money. And how perhaps you can do that. And also, I just wanted to explain a little bit about why we should be doing this and why the opportunity is there to be doing that, and what's been shifting in society to help businesses happen. And you'll know a lot of this, but that's just an overview. So yeah, hey, next week.
Hey.
If you haven't booked already, I highly recommend it. So OSEP. So very quickly, what I'll say is that, so my background, I had 30 years in the corporate world, moved to Oxford. We sold our business to a company whose head office was here. I was living in the Northwest, came to Oxfordshire, went on a leadership development course with Common Purpose, which blew my mind and changed my life. We were looking at sort of some of the pervasive social challenges that we face in a place like Oxford and Oxfordshire. It really had no idea. And I just thought, I was approaching 50, the kids had left school. I just thought, if I've got any business experience, I should be doing something with it. So I actually worked in the voluntary sector for a couple of years, connecting businesses and charities, and I still do that. But I saw sort of deeper and wider ways in which businesses could really help to have an impact. And if I'm honest, I set my business up and I struggled with articulating that until I came across the B Corp movement, as Pete mentioned before. So B Corps are businesses that are for profit, but they believe, as well as our legal responsibility as directors to shareholders, which is often ourselves, we also, through the B Corp movement, place all stakeholders on a equal footing. So if we make business decisions, we don't just think about how much money it's going to make us, we think about what the implications are for other things. Now, I am a fan of B Corps. I've trained with them. I'm a B leader. I'm co-chair of the B Local. If you're interested in that, get in touch with me and I can tell you about a group of people coming together locally. But I also say you don't have to be a B Corp, and B Corp isn't for everyone, but that's the space I'm in. OSEP, I came across just soon after I made this transition, and it was a coming together of both universities, Brookes and the University of Oxford, that wanted at that time to push out into the wider community support for social enterprise. And things have moved on since. Pure social enterprises, I'm a great fan of and supporter, but more and more businesses like yours that are full of people that have got so much to give through their business to make the world a better place. We've just been delivering, that picture there is, we've just finished delivering almost 4 years of fully funded support through the LEP on the eScalate program. Working with actually a number of people through the outside ideas as well. So that's what OSEP does. It's still in that space. It advocates. I sit on a number of committees on behalf of OSEP. We really want to champion this as a way to sort of resolve some of our social issues that's great for the economy as well. So simple overview. We have vision, mission, values. I'll try and slow down. And sorry for me, please don't feel I'm being patronizing for those that know this, but the simplest way I feel you can understand this is that for me, a vision is how we want to see things clearly. That could be how we want to see the world. It could be how you want to see your business or how you want to see your business positioned within your market or wherever it is. But it's this very high level, aspirational, this is how we want things to be. Mission is what we do to actually achieve that. So what is it we're doing on a day-to-day basis to achieve that? And, you know, people often have a descriptor written down, and I know that's what Pete's working on as well. Now, values, and I did hear one or two people talk about values, and a lot of people feel strongly about values. Personally, I think values are really important, but I think they all need to be done together. And values are how we behave whilst we're delivering our mission to achieve our vision. And you'll see that whilst I'm a tech Wally, as you saw earlier, I haven't left that gap there on purpose. The reason that I've left that there, funnily enough, using the right word, is people talk a lot these days about purpose. And this is just me, but my view of where purpose sits is why we do it, why we're doing these things. So that's how I sort of fit purpose into those things. So that's my simplest overview of vision, mission, and values. Now, I did say to you, I'm not going to go into detail, and I recommend fully what Pete's doing next week. But I would just say I highly recommend this. And Laura, Sarah, I'll share these with you. But these are great little videos to give you a summary of how to go about thinking about shaping it. Just very simple tools about what it should look like and what you should include. So I'll share those later. But I'm not going to go into any other detail. I also wanted to share with you, some of you have seen this before on a previous presentation, but again, getting you thinking about your approach to this and the opportunities you have through your businesses, is we're seeing a shift, and this isn't new, but it's accelerating. So this is my perspective of the way things are shifting. So if we were to look at sort of this, I suppose, hypothetical, if we've got social and environmental challenges on the left-hand side of the screen that are generally hit by charities, community groups, public sector, they're the ones that are in this world to solve those problems. And sort of quite separately, it's a bit simplistic this, but on the opposite side, we've got business, private sector, driving the economy, creating wealth, paying taxes that's effectively paying for that sort of side. But the shift we're seeing is that there's less public funding around, as we know, there's less funding for charities and groups. So we've seen this shift from the left-hand side of those organizations developing ways in which they can generate income in different ways. So becoming a bit more like the private sector. And typically that's social enterprise. We've even seen spin-outs from the City Council, for instance, Oxford Direct Services, and others. But, and this is the important thing, significantly at the same time, we're seeing private sector not only recognize their responsibility, but also seeing the opportunities of coming to the other side more and solving those problems through business. And that's the space that I operate in the middle. So supporting social enterprise and businesses like I think many of yours, or certainly the way yours could be. So that's the context in which I'm suggesting businesses think differently, is there's this great appetite and opportunity at the moment for this. I'm sure you've all seen this, but I just think this is really important as well. If you haven't, it's Simon Sinek's Start With a Why. There's a great short video on YouTube as well. And what Simon Sinek says, and I'm not going to go into great detail about this, but I think he's absolutely right. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So they don't buy from you because you are the biggest law firm in the, well, actually some people do, we know that, but this shift is carrying on, and people are seeing through that now. People are connecting much more with people's purpose and passion and stories. And I think that is a really important consideration when you're building your business, but also building your mission. So, I want to talk about you and your business, and it's all very well to say those things, but and again, I think I covered this in the previous session, but really what I want to try and help you think about is that in every area of your business, and I've only picked out a few here, but you can think about the way you operate in these various areas of your business in different ways that have positive impact on society and the world. And as I say, we haven't got time to go into it now, but certainly customers are looking for you to be doing things in a way and to include them, but also that is going to be followed, championing some of the things that they're keen to do. Supply chain, I think, is a hugely impactful way. You know, if you're not being asked already what you're doing over and above making money, you soon will be. I've been working with the University of Oxford recently. They're looking at the ways in which they can embed social value through their supply chain, asking questions of suppliers about what they're doing already. So, you know, this is really important to business. So, you know, I'd say to you, be inspired, think different, be different. Now, Pete, I know you know the story, and Sarah, I know you know the story as well. Some of you might know, but I just want to use an example here, and I know she don't mind me talking about it. But Lily Jameson came to that eScalate program. She came to OSEP for support. She is a young woman who, very compelling person. She'd spent a life developing coping mechanisms. She'd struggled in different ways, very bright, and she's been successful. But, you know, at school, she was the one that got into trouble. At work, she had disciplinary issues, but she developed coping mechanisms, and she ended up in a financial services business in West London and did very well for herself, but didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel where she wanted to be. And she came to OSEP because she was looking to work with a sister in this business called Send It to Alex. Alex is a sister, and it's what the business is. It's effectively virtual PA. That's what it does. She had a meeting with Ashley Cavers, who some of you might know, Wonky Food, who was working with us on this program. And but what Lily had said was, I've had this realization. She said, I was recently diagnosed, I think it was autism or dyslexia, which was the reason why she'd struggled. Her brain works differently to other people, and she developed these coping mechanisms. And she just said, well, you know, I want to work with my sister on this business, but I've got this other interest here. And Ashley said to her, why don't you combine the two? She said, no, that's over there. I'm just saying, this is a virtual PA business. That's got nothing to do with my passion. And I had a one-to-one with her then, and we started to sort of really unpick the ways in which this fitted. She's now got this incredibly successful business, which actually has been attracting neurodivergent people. She's got funding to work with employers to help employers understand the neurodiversity of its workforce, employees to understand other employees, employees to understand themselves as well. Just, you know, it's one of those things where businesses can pivot and shift to fit with what your passion could be. So I've probably spent longer than I could. The other thing is as well, through this eScalate program, she's since become a B Corp. She's achieved all sorts of accreditation. So there's actually a video on OSEP's website if you want to have a little look and hear more about about Lily. But just an example of the sort of thing that we're talking about here. The other thing in terms of inspiration, when I first saw these are the SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. They're adopted by, probably somebody else can tell me, but NATO, or certainly a global organization. And we're saying that collectively as a world, we need to address these issues. And when I first saw these, I thought, well, yeah, okay, but that doesn't really appeal. That doesn't really apply to us here. But the more I've learned about this, the more I see how that one way or another, they are serious issues in the world that also affect us locally. So you could perhaps just have a little look at that. I'm not suggesting all of them would apply, but these are areas that might well fit with your business. There is a business case. Again, I'm not going into the details, but the more purposeful you are in your business, the more you will be innovative, the more you'll attract the right staff, the right customers, investors, and so on. So a couple of examples. I'm just going to pause for a second, just have a read of those. So big brands, global brands, impressive mission statements? I don't think so. Just fairly bland mission statements. And I think by approaching business in a different way, thinking about why it is you are in business truly, I think you can come up with something a lot more creative. Patagonia, great fan of Patagonia. They are a B Corp. They make clothing, but they don't talk just about clothes. They talk about what they're doing in the world. Now, these next two items, I'm not raving fans of the brands necessarily, but I'm putting them up there as examples of, you know, what products, what widgets people sell, and how they interpret that in terms of what they're here for. So what on earth coffee has got to do with human spirit, I don't know, but clearly that's what they position themselves as, and they want to make a difference in the world. Ben and Jerry's ice cream, also a B Corp, you know, believing that ice cream can change the world. And they do a number of things through their business to have a positive impact on the world. They don't just make ice cream. We've got one locally. No Vice Ice is a local social enterprise, and they do wonderful things. They just make ice lollies. Well, they don't. They really don't. And I'd recommend have a little look at them. And, you know, so through whatever your widget is, you can do some very impressive things. So I'm pretty much there, really. I would urge you to think about why you are in business. What is your true purpose? As Simon Sinek said, it isn't about making money. It's a consequence or a result. You know, we need that, but that's not why we're here. I would urge you to review, if you've got one already, or develop, if you haven't, your vision, mission, and values with that in mind. You know, think about it's not just widgets. You're not just selling a product. You're not just selling a service. You can really make a positive impact on the world. The other thing, and this, I realize we're talking, you know, between us, we are small businesses, so we might not have loads of staff, but we have people around us. We might work with associates. You've got colleagues. You've got each other. I know how close this network is. So think about, engage those stakeholders. Think about who those stakeholders are, how you can deeply engage them in this process. And this is a great forum to be sharing those thoughts and ideas or questions. And think about how else you can add value to all of your stakeholders. Pete, I hope I didn't, Pete and Sarah and Laura, I hope I didn't disappoint. That's me. This eScalate program is finished. I know you're great ones for one-to-ones, but there's a link there. Again, we can share it afterwards. But if you want a one-to-one through OSEP, I still, on a pro bono basis, give one-to-ones to anyone who's interested in this whole topic of purposeful business. So I'd be happy to have a one-to-one with any of you.
Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Right.